So we'll just get back in. We'll turn the oven off because I have something in there. And fine. Good. There's no leakage. Second immersion. Done. Done. Good. That hot water ends with a bang. Got some more tea tree in there. Second immersion, fan is going. We'll open the door a bit. Okay, let's take it off. Okay, very hot. Don't move. The bath isn't leaking. Nothing's wrong. Okay, just don't move around. Good, we got some cold water. Got some kombucha. It's good. All right. Of course, it's serious. You know, getting chill out there is serious, and doing this is serious. When I get out, you know, unhurt, and I'm less likely to get hurt if I do this properly every day. Oh, that's nice and hot. Oh, so yeah. You don't know for sure until you get your feet in there, so that's good. I'll be able to get my torso and my head in fairly short order. In fact, we're going to head right in now. Oh, okay, good. Leave it, leave it, leave it. Don't move. Okay. Okay, good. And there's a great amount of heating going on there. Oh, get the arms in. Now you're feeling it. Feeling the belly. It's a good height. Good job. It's hard. Arch the back. Good. And this finishes very well. You feel, you know, I feel people's coldness. I feel people's loneliness. I feel my own. You know, in the bath is meant to be medicinal. So I'm not going to overdo it. You know. And the quicker I get my head in, the better. But let's get the feet in again. I want to take it slow. It's very satisfying at first. Very hot. Let's get that head in. Let's go early. Here we go. Good job. Sit up, sit up. Good. That's sick. Relax, relax. We're sitting straight up. Don't worry about getting cold at this point, because we're doing it. Don't matter if I get a little cold. It's about the heart now. Calm down. Wait till you feel experimental again. Right? This calms everything down. Good. I don't used to do this, but you're gonna get there anyway, so there's no need to rush it. Breathe. Because it's difficult. Okay. I don't really want to stay in that much longer. Wow. Okay, we get the first bottle done. And that's medicinal. That's difficult. Okay. Okay. Wait. It could be anything from hatred of women, various kinds, who knows. Once you touch base with a young woman, there's an old woman around, fuck. Very hot, very good. Get the head in one more time. Okay. Let's go. Yeah, and get the jack. Second and final try. You can open the door. Turn on the fan. We're done. bottle that's evil energy from a woman, and I know where it is after this bath. So I'll stay away from that gas station from now on. That's where it's coming from. That's where it's coming from. People who are the most lonely and in pain become channels for evil energy. They're bored. They don't like their lives. It's set up by any passive female environment, everything aggressive in the other female. I've seen it many times, enough to know that women basically do it. They do it all the time. We're in the distance, the goal. Oh, we did it. Yesterday's evils and today's, and they were then some. And you wonder why you're not feeling good. Wow. Oh, wow. Yeah. I learned something coming out of that bath. Whoa. When you get tried to your core and it squeezes out your liver, you know it's something you suspected is true. It'll keep you safe. It's not something. It'll keep you safe. Like Link's medicine. You know what's going on. Oh, 2 scorching hot baths. Excellent. That's what I'm talking about. Now we can heal. Now we're healing. That's the only kombucha I have for the night. Lovely. Oh, wow. Let's do some incense. Hello. Come on in. What's that? Please come closer. I can't hear you.
And by the elevator.
Yeah.
Masks are not mandatory.
Okay.
They are required, but they're not mandatory.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Just open the door and go outside if you need some fresh air. It'll cool down. I just got out of the bath. I had a critical cold I had to deal with.
Come on, buddy. Want to go outside?
Oh, it's too bad. Hello. Buddy.
The stupid thing. God. I always get this first thing.
Oh, just have some. Just so you know, I can do it. It's creepy as fuck. Yeah, do you ever see me say to your father that wouldn't address me? What is that? Doesn't your father require positive interview? I guess your father might like me very much. Hey? Why don't you address me with courtesy? Hey? Why don't you address me? I'll just say hello. Hey? What's your name, stranger? Keep it good. Sorry, it's a bit stuffy. Feel free to turn off the dehumidifier if you want. twice.
Oh, peace.
What?
Peace.
Peace?
Yeah.
What's that?
Peaceful. It's peaceful. It's
Oh
quiet.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's quiet.
Yeah, I see you left some kind of shepherd's pie thing there too. I warmed it up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I had some for dinner too.
Did you?
Yeah.
How is it? I'll try that.
It's good. I didn't put any onions in it.
It's fine.
Because I
Potato
forgot.
salad is great.
Yeah.
I have to. It's gonna take a half hour before my ability to eat comes back, but then I will be hungry.
Oh, good. Well, I'm gonna go home
Okay.
and do some more packing.
I'll show you something. Okay. This is my second T-shirt.
Oh God, look at that.
I'll show you. No, that's just the front. I'll change T-shirts right now. I'll show you. Oh. I'm almost delirious right now. Oh.
Why do you bother putting your shirt on that way? Why don't you just lie in bed without a shirt?
No, because
Okay.
I can't do that. Yeah, you see, it's completely soaked through.
I think I know what I'm gonna get you for Christmas.
No, but if you had a moment, I would explain to you at least what I'm doing and then the overall effect and where it ends up, so you're not so distressed about what's happening. I don't deny that there might be more efficient ways to do it, but I don't know what they are. And when I get home, I have to do something.
Yeah.
And my body's in, like a day like today, based on conditions I won't go into, I'm in like a clinical need. I have a clinical need for very hot baths. So I had one of the hottest baths you can have, basically. And basically the hottest water probably the human body could get into, you know, without flesh falling off your body kind of thing, you know. And but I get in a certain way so that I can do it. I train myself. It's very psychologically difficult to get into a hot bath, you know, but I figured it out that you just get your bum in. You get your feet out right away. And then you just don't move. And you sit there. And you can actually put your legs in. Any temperature that you can get your butt in, you can put your legs in. If only for a few seconds, because they're a lot of meat. And then right away you can tell pretty much how hot it is, and you can take them back out again. And you can just keep doing that until you're ready to get your torso in. And then you can get your torso out, and you can actually have a lot of flexibility. The hotter it is, you don't really have to immerse yourself right away, because your body is basically absorbing it second by second, every part of your body, but your back barely feels it. I don't think you have a lot of nerves in your back, so once you get your back in, put your legs up,
Yeah,
you get your arms
you
out,
don't really
you're not going to
it.
feel much. You know it's hot, but you can't tell it's scalding.
Yeah.
Unless you move around. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And you kind of move your back and stuff, and then it's like, oh, you can feel it behind your kidneys. It's like Satan's tongue. But it's like, and then day like today, like it takes about three minutes or so before you can start getting a little more. And then went back and did it again. So my body takes about exactly an hour, and then I'm even out.
Do you have your fan on?
Yeah. And I put one sock on, one sock off, and I put pants on. I'll take those off, I'll replace them in a second, and I'll go through at least 2 more t-shirts and 1 more jacket. Yeah, and then I'll be done. Now, I don't know, what was your idea of what to do?
I don't have one.
You said don't put on a t-shirt at all?
Oh, yeah, just go.
Oh, and I've got the blanket on, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just thought because you're getting them wet, why don't you just go without one?
Yeah. Yeah, just lay on the blanket.
You know,
I think because I'm trapping in the heat. I want to stay, the body right now is like being in an infrared sauna. It's hot on the inside. So the water's so hot, you get hot on the inside. It warms up your bones, right? And everywhere the chill has gone, now the chill can come out, you know? But you have to heat up, like you're heating up your bones in a sense. It's like, I don't know, like, so you get really warm, but it takes an hour, and then, so that's what I do. I'm sure a year from now I'll be doing something different, but that's what I do now. Because I just feel I want to trap as much heat in as possible. Today's not the worst day. I think I got a chill last night because I stopped talking to those homeless people for 2 hours, and I just got cold. And then the bath I went into was a little under temperature. Still hot, but under temperature, so I woke up and I knew I didn't quite get it all.
Oh.
And then you're out there, and I didn't sleep as well either, so you feel a little dragged out. But I was sitting in the sun most of the day, so it was okay. But you do feel it, a little wisp, like a little weakness. And then you get in the bath, and you can feel a little sick sometimes. You feel like death is passing over you, but also like it cleanses you. It squeezes things. Everything that rushes through your mind, anything, it's just like it's squeezing poison out of your blood. It's like people have infrared saunas for purification purposes. So I'm just feeling that in my mind. And then also what I got really good at is you be easy on the heart, you know, because the heat's one thing, but you can't get hard on your heart. It's getting harder to breathe in there. So I make sure that I have enough cool air and water on my chest. I don't put cold water on my head anymore. I used to, but it cools you off too much, even like a little bit. So I just put it on my chest. It took me a while to train me not to put it on my head.
Well, that's what one always does, because when your head is cool.
Yeah. And if you're really too hot, you can do is you can just turn on the shower and run cold water over yourself. And I've done that too.
Right.
And it's nice. Just for a second. You get that cold, and it's like it just refreshes your whole body.
Oh, that's a good idea.
But the only downside is that it's going to cool down the bath.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny? It's so technical, but.
Well, you're making something so complicated.
But it's 1 hour, and that takes it. Not only does it take care of my day, but it takes care. It's therapeutic, and my muscles too.
Yeah.
That's why I can walk every day, because I don't get a lot of muscle. Today I had a little muscle tension, probably because I didn't get enough of a bath the night before, and I went to bed late. So.
Well,
I don't mind talking about it, but as you can see, like I'm so used to doing it. It's a whole routine. I basically narrate it to myself as I'm doing it. Okay, do this and do like you can feel a little anxious, like you know, you get a few goosebumps. I notice like okay, I'm getting goosebumps. That's good, and the goosebumps go away, and then after a while you feel like your head. You have to notice your head's getting hot. So it's like okay, my body is getting hotter, or your breathing is changing, and okay. So, but today it was hot. I feel it, but my body was cold. Did you know that when you put your arms like this over your chest, your heart sometimes beats a bit faster?
really?
Yeah, and you can feel it too.
Huh.
Because you're lining up your wrists with your heart. And it's something you would normally only do if you're sleeping with a vampire, but I find that crossing the arms, like the blood is electrical, and sometimes I'll cross them in front of the sun. And it's just an interesting thing to do, because the sun is electrical, and your blood is electrical. And it's like saying hi to the sun. You know, they have the skull and crossbones, but I think the crossing is actually more to do with the sun than it is to do with death. Because in the runes, the cross means the kiss of communication, which also connects to the sun. And those are ancient runes. You saw the cross today?
Yeah.
It means the kiss of communication. It's an ancient rune. It means that for thousands of years, people drew this from nature.
Yeah, that was weird, that cross. That was intentional, I'm sure.
They cross it. I mean, the thing is that it's bound to be noticed, but nobody
ever, well, who looks up, right?
You do.
And people just think, you know, so that's contrails, right?
Yeah.
Everybody says it's contrails. No, it's not.
You just have to pay attention.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't have noticed if you hadn't told me.
I'm not as perturbed about them as I used to be.
No.
I guess after a while you just become numb to it.
Mm.
I'm gonna have to take off my pants now. Look at my pants are soaked through. Okay. And you can't lay there wet, right? So it's like, okay. See ya.
See you later.
Wish me luck. Wish me luck. Oh, sweet luck. Oh, 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 the sun's out. I'm just gonna put this dry t-shirt. It's dry. I've gone through a lot of wet t-shirts, gone through dry pants. New dry pants, new dry t-shirt, back under the cover. And that takes care of all the worst stuff. And the worst stuff, really, is that fat woman in the gas and go. I was like, there's your problem. Because what I realized is that people do things in their own minds that they don't think mean anything that turn into things. And you can catch them when I'm in a small square footage with women and there's a young woman and there's a middle-aged, fat, ugly woman. And I'm being friendly with the young woman and the fat one's out there and she's not liking it at all. And all of her loneliness and all of her irritation now, under the influence of this passive, gentle young female, is now being projected onto me. It's almost like she has to make up for the beautiful balanced yin with her excess yin. Right? She has to destroy it. And she's projecting that at me. Now, quietly, but it's like I got into that bath and it's like, I bet you that was off. And it's like, and when that's what you feel at the end of the day after a bath like that, you know there's something wrong. It's like, I probably won't go in there again. You know, and I wasn't going to, and I tried it again a couple of days, and it's like, very attractive young woman, but I think it's a little off. My middle-aged, horny loneliness and her young, beautiful, mild admiration of me is not a good combination. So that's about a half hour, maybe, into things. So but I could feel it in my pelvis and my balls. So it's especially if it's humid. Like yesterday, last night, the damp evening cold of the autumn, and today just the late afternoon humidity, the damp t-shirt. You can feel it. I mean, it's yesterday and today are running together and saying you're fucked. So I needed a medicinal sauna, and I got it. That's the hardest bath you get into, the hardest one you get out of. That's as hard as it gets, and you feel a little weak. You know, you're like, damn it, I need this bath. I need this fucker. I'm starting to feel a bit better. Drinking some water. I can take one leg out of the blanket. So I've just turned a corner just now. Just turned a corner. And that's usually about a half hour. And then you got like another half here. So you might like want to go outside and get some sun, but it's just like, just stay the course. Stay the course. Don't get too cold. Just stay the course. I'm going to have to trade into one more t-shirt and a sweater. I've got it drying in the dryer right now, the t-shirt. Because it's like, oh shit. It's like, oh my goodness. A lot of moisture. So yeah, that's probably the last time I go to that gas station. It's like, she's a little too nice. I'm a little too nice. And probably mildly horny. Not that that's really would be a big deal normally, but you got, that girl works a lot, and there's the other women that work there are really unhealthy. And I don't imagine, it's like he's probably always like, oh, he doesn't talk to me that way, or, and it's like, or I thought I made friends with a big one, but, you start getting female employees in a small square footage, especially with white women, older white women who are angry and this, that, or the other, and probably never going to attract the kind of man they want and never have, and they're upset. They've gotten old and ugly. And now what they have is anger and malice. in a world that doesn't mind. It says, find men and let out your anger and malice. But the thing is, when you become a bully, even an estrogen fueled bully, is you never get what you want. You've now just become a destructive energy in the world. And you're just not going to get what you want. Women don't always come to ruin completely. They just don't get what they want. And I want to get what I want out of life. I've seen violent energy the last 24 hours, but doesn't have to penetrate me so deeply. But everything can be worked to power. And it's like being sensitive today and feeling that. And it's like I was a little not in a great mood today, too, when I came in there. I was like, I didn't have a good sleep. And just felt like a little underpowered today. But yesterday was a bit exhausting, I guess, a little more than I thought. But we had a good day. I did everything I said I was going to do. Got my joint, got my son, got home at a good time, had a super hot bath. Perfect. Got a heating blanket. And then, like 15 more minutes to start really mellowing out. Because you do get more comfortable. You do. Okay. One more t-shirt. Doing great. I don't think it's for me. But never mind. t-shirt. Oh my goodness. I remember going to school and my Uncle Vic, having to ask me to leave the house. You know, I could not get comfortable in his house. I was not comfortable. It was funny, like all the years of coming to my Uncle Vic's house or seeing my Uncle Vic, I had never been comfortable with him. You know, and with my Auntie Penny or my cousin Christian, like we'd never become comfortable. It was like almost instantly, I'm just like, I don't want to be here. I want to be home. And my cousins were rude to me, and you just knew it. I mean, they could probably reasonably say, you hadn't, really been a part of the household, or I didn't stay for dinner, but the real point of the story is that they just didn't like me that much, And I don't think, they were ready to have someone in their home, and they didn't do anything to sort of orient me to their home, their customs. I didn't really know what to do. I didn't feel welcome, essentially. They had not really welcomed me. Normally if you come to someone's home, the mom, the dad, and the boy and the girl would maybe sit down and say, hey, welcome to our house. We hope that you'll join us for dinner, or if you can't every night, that's fine, or just let me know, or da-da-da-da. And, let's have a good time. But the school was a gong show. I didn't want to do it anymore. I didn't want to do science and math anymore. I was just like, fuck this. So I ended up just walking around a lot. I went to one or two churches in Victoria. I just sort of sat down, and I didn't talk to anybody. Nobody saw me. I just sat and thought, maybe this is the time in life to go to a church, go sit and smell I just needed something, I don't know, a sanctuary. And that was the first kind of sanctuary I went, or outside, and I'd go. This is Gordon Head in Victoria, so you're near the ocean, and it's like, September, October, getting into November. I probably left at the end of November, and it must have been excruciating for them, but I would walk outside. I wasn't really going to classes very much after a certain point. I loved going to the library. I mean, that was the best part of my day. I'd get up in the morning. I wasn't really going to school anymore, but I was like getting up and going out and living my life. I didn't have a lot of money or anything, but, I went to the cafeteria where I didn't eat very much, or I'd go and get a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, or go to the library. And I literally made no friends in that time. I had a lab partner. He was really nice. He worked at a local grocery store or something, and had a girlfriend and all the usual things that I had never done in my entire life. He was maybe a couple years older than me, and he was like a completely nice human being. I mean, whatever he did, I'm sure he's a happy guy. He's just like, wow, he's so well adjusted and everything. It's just like, holy fuck. It's like what happens when a mongrel meets some sort of well-adjusted dog, and like, you're well-adjusted. And the weird thing is, he didn't know that I wasn't well-adjusted. He just treated me like a normal person. I was just like, he called one night. We talked about maybe getting together and working on a lab, and I never did. I probably should have. That was kind of like my one chance to maybe have a lab partner, because you kind of needed a little help. But I eventually just stopped coming to class, and he didn't call anymore. And, I didn't want to meet his girlfriend. And, it's not like I knew I wasn't going to have a girlfriend. I mean, I knew that. I mean, it was like, literally, it was like I wasn't kidding myself. I wasn't, by the time I was, 13 or 14, by the time puberty hit, I already knew I was never going to have a girlfriend. I mean, I knew. I'd be in my parents' car, and sometimes I'd be going down the highway, and I'd see like a boy and a girl walking, and I would sometimes just cry to myself inside. It was like, it wasn't the worst thing, but maybe it was. I just knew, like, I'm never going to have that. I'm never going to have that. And I just would tell myself, like, oh, I could feel it. Like, you're not going to have that. It was like life was telling me, like, don't, yes, you're feeling something that you want that you can't have. You're going to have to find it somewhere else. So, and I was in my way a solitary person. there was no point in having a girlfriend. I had a journey. I had a healing I needed to go on, and it's not the kind of thing you really do with someone. I mean, people sometimes try to do it with people. They go, "I'm going to grow with you. We're going to." I've met young hip people who go to healing seminars and vipassana, and they do these things where they look in each other's eyes, and you get 5 minutes to just talk and not think about it and just let out all your emotions. And the other person has to listen, and then the other person talks and you listen, and it's just like this crash therapy, right? And these people but I think back to that guy that was in my physics class or whatever it was, and I liked him. He was a nice guy. I should have been friends with him. You know? Yeah, you might. But I didn't want to. It's not like I didn't want to be there. I wasn't going to go to school just because I had a friend. I didn't want to be in class. I didn't want to do physics anymore. I didn't care. I had no. Imagine doing something all your life and then just all of a sudden you just don't want to do it anymore. And school's like that. You get sick of it. I've done 12, 13 years now of school, and I'd gotten all the way to this level to get an entrance scholarship, a meager entrance scholarship to a Western Canadian university. Not the best university in the world, just a half-decent Western kind of community university on Vancouver Island. I remember reading this book, this really arcane book I found called The Monk of Evesham, and I guess it was a vision that he had or something. And then another kind of Catholic priest wrote a book about suicide, and he said, his counseling to people with suicide is that, no matter how difficult it is, there's things you can accomplish in life on earth that you can't accomplish anywhere else, which I thought was a very forward-thinking way of talking to someone. I was really impressed. I still didn't like religion or anything, but I'll take any good idea that I hear. And I thought, that sounds like a sensible suggestion, You can't go wrong with that logic. Assume that there's things you can only do by living here. And then that's it. Because, you're going to check out at some point. So, work hard. Let death scare the balls off you and make some use of your time, because that's what it's for. Yeah, I've got about 15 minutes left to go. Sunny outside. Oh, I feel gross. Okay, I'm starting to get hungry. That's good. Getting some taste for food. Means my temperature's coming down. Oh. Oh. No, my 20s, I knew I'd never have a girlfriend. My 30s, no, I couldn't have a girlfriend. I always knew if I was around a female who was stalking me or hurting me or raping me, it wasn't a girlfriend. And it was never going to be one. And when you're being domestically assaulted or sexually assaulted by women, you don't really feel like getting a girlfriend. It's not to me, I always thought when I was young, I knew I wasn't, but I thought if I could, I would need a safe place. And I've never had a safe place. So some place in life where I could kind of get to know someone, and it didn't have to go very quickly, and you could just really take your time, and you didn't have to see them every day. So if you go somewhere to a supermarket and say you flirt with someone, you might have to see them all the time. If you flirt with someone over here in your building, you might have to see them all the time. And it's I don't want to
see anyone all the time. Like that native girl, and that's where I don't want to see her every day. I don't. I like her, but it's like I don't want to see her every day. Yeah, a little bit of evil yesterday walking home. A lot more when I got to the park, and then a little bit throughout the day. Just white people, the way white people are. I find that I don't know what to say to you guys. I mean, it's just the way white people are. It's the way white women are. The way they stand there, the way they're on their cell phone, the way they wait for their boyfriend, the way they sit looking at the river, the way they are, the way they are. There's so many other people. There's so many more modest, red, brown, yellow people who just can exist in nature like they belong there. But you look at white people, and I think what bothers me is like that they make me feel like I don't belong there when they're around. I feel like I need to leave. The more white people around me when I'm in nature, like if I go someplace I really like, and all of a sudden, like as an experiment, there are white people here, there, and ever, I start to feel like I need to leave. Unless there's certain kinds of people or whatever who are just chill. Like the guys in the scuba gear, the men coming to the river, they were like, awesome, nice males. Their girlfriends, not so much. Their girlfriends, not so much. Yeah. And the guy on the trail with the dog, he was great. But yeah. And days like today, you're sensitive to that. I'm just eating food. Oh, food. After an hour or so, you start to rediscover food. Oh. Oh. The discovery of food is like amazing. Yeah, so I was kind of sent away persona non grata. I guess they didn't think me a very social person, when in fact, when I'm comfortable, I'm very social. But they were not my family. They did not behave like family. I don't know what they thought they were, but they weren't my family. You know? Something had changed my Uncle Vic. Something had changed him. Life. You know? For all of his home, he must have hated it. His home was meant to be comfortable. It was his cave, his home, his pride and joy. But somewhere along the way, and for my aunt who had been born into money, it got to be too much about money, too much about status. It wasn't enough about people anymore. It wasn't about their nephew landing and saying hey and, you know, being real and saying, hey, what's going on? You don't want to talk. Actually, one day my Aunt Penny was downstairs near my room. Oh, she was ironing. You know. And I'd already given my notice, but we chatted briefly. She was companionable. But I was aware, as I became aware of other relatives over the years, that she would never, ever break that silence. She couldn't tell. She didn't need to in her world, but part of her voice, part of her mind, had been silenced when she was a child. Sounds dramatic, but it is. And people play roles. You know, when someone's being an actor, they're not being themselves, are they? They're kind of putting themselves into the role, and it might feel like the best sense of self you ever had, but that's because you're wearing a mask. You've become open. You've lowered your inhibitions, and it's like you're free. You're free to be this role. So the role, which could be seen as a costume, a constriction, becomes your freedom. So the soldier can put on a uniform and live by someone else's rules the rest of his life and count himself more free. So this role playing is why we get soldiers. It's also how we get people who don't have emotion as much. Because they're free by their role, but they're kind of a monster to you. Because they've lowered their inhibitions, which frees them to be what they need to be in the world. They now cannot be what you need them to be to you. it would be out of character for them. And it's almost like relatives can just talk to you in a way that they don't want to go out of character. And then, like I said, nothing's ever real unless you're putting on an act. And it was the perfect place for me to go. If I was going to university to be a real estate agent or be an actor or, enter the world of work in any real school-based way, it would have been the perfect house. Hey, come for dinner. Hey, yeah, school's going great. Ooh, yeah. How you doing, Christian? How you doing, Jennifer? Ooh, yeah. But it wasn't like that for me at all. I had no role to play. I had no character to play. I was nobody. And I felt like nobody. I felt like absolutely nobody. They wanted me to show them that I was somebody. And I didn't. And the whole time I was there, I don't think I showed up for dinner once. I don't think I ever had dinner with them. It must have pissed them off so much. I didn't even think about it because I got my own dinner. I was an adult and I was renting a room in their house. They never said to me they want me to be part of their family, and they didn't make me feel that way. And she would leave me a plate full of dinner in the oven when I came home, and I would eat that, if I was hungry, and that was nice, and I'd eat it. And every morning I'd hear them get up and start their day or go to school, and not once did I join them. I would stay in bed and just lay there until eventually I heard them all go, and then I would get out of bed. I'd slink out and had the whole house to myself. And then I'd start my day quietly, like nobody was there. Like I wasn't living with anybody. And that was how I started my day because I didn't want to start my day with them. I should have wanted to know what their lives were like and what they were doing. But my life was so difficult. I felt so scared. I'd spent years just very shy, going to school. I didn't have anyone to tell me anything about life. And I knew I couldn't perform at school, which meant that I was going to have to come home a failure. And I didn't want to work. I had absolutely nothing. I had $1,000 left of my scholarship, and I didn't even spend it. It's weird. I didn't even spend it. I think I cashed it, and eventually my dad stole it from me. Yeah. And eventually my sister had my dad and other people molest me and physically, catastrophically beat me in my house because my dad wouldn't pay me back the money he owed me. I know it sounds convoluted, and I ended up paying that money back several times over. Well, my dad extorted money out of me for years, several times over. Like, I paid that money back 100 times over. I calculated how much excess amount of rent I was paying, living at a home, back at home with my dad anyway, different houses, sister, whatever, and being physically and sexually threatened on a regular basis and never feeling safe. That money was extorted out of me. And working and just losing all my money and never having any place in the home or any respect, anything at all. I'd literally lost all warmth from my dad. It was just gone. He had eliminated me. My sister eliminated me. My brother eliminated me. It was like I was nothing. No one ever asked you how you felt. It was the worst home in the world. I was living on a couch. I was being physically hurt. I was being threatened. I paid back that money times 100. Money I did, I lent him 10 times that money in terms of my life. And then it just got worse. And my sister got more involved, and it was, you could see how it's since, like my Uncle Vic, my dad's economics of money and my economics of money or energy were two very different things, and they collided violently. And I never saw my Uncle Vic again, really. 20 years later, I went to see him, and he told me he thought I was a faggot, and that was pretty much it. He didn't need to know anything about my life or anything. So yeah, staying at that house was the worst experience of my life. But what I had is I had a lot of time to myself, which is what I wanted. You know, when nobody cares about you and no one asks you how you're doing, and no one asks you how you feel at all, and they just expect you to know what to do in their house and when to show up for this or that. You know, you just kind of wonder if like they have a very different sense of reality than you do. But I quit that place and we're waiting for my mom to come pick me up and take me to the fair. I could have left a month earlier. I mean, I wasn't fucking doing anything, but I guess I just wanted to keep up the illusion that, you know, I was giving school a try. And plus, I kind of wanted to just keep doing things the way they were. I didn't have a goal. I knew I was going to go back home. And the day came and, you know, they didn't even say goodbye to me. You know, I did the same thing. My mom came to the house. I left. I probably left a thank you note or something and said thanks for helping me and or a card. And then I left. I never heard from them again. Never called them. We never talked. Nothing. My uncle Vic only had two conversations with me. Was one was to tell me that I'd left some poo in the toilet one day, because I guess I flushed and there was like a little thing of poo that stayed in the bottom of the toilet. And that was my cousin was horrified by, because I guess he'd never seen anything like that before. And you know, throw some toilet paper in there and flush it and be like, "That's disgusting. I hope it never happens again." But that's what you should do, right? And then my younger cousin told me I'd eaten some of her food, which was apparently deli meat in the fridge, and you know, just weird, irascible things. Then my cousin and his friend were on the soccer team, kind of bullying me one day, and I just thought, God, you're aggressive. Like, it just seems so aggressive. I couldn't fucking believe it. And then, you know, it wasn't really directed at me, but it was like just being near it. I was like, oh, wow, that's a different kind of life. And it's always felt like that, even back in when I was in high school, that people from richer families were always more aggressive to me. They're so fucking aggressive. I can't live that way. And yeah, I don't think I ever said goodbye. And the last time I saw my Uncle Vic, he said I looked like a faggot and asked me if I had a good dental medical program. And that was it. My Aunt Penny never said anything to me, really. They never sort of saw my life of having a trajectory that they were interested in. That, you know, actually, I was on the earth for a purpose. It just wasn't what they were here for, you know? Well, yeah, you know, that's the most I've ever even talked about that. I spent several months. I got to hang out in downtown Victoria and go to churches and stuff because you know, you would think like, oh, you should go hang out with your relatives and have dinner, but they had nothing. You know, they have nothing. They don't. And my Uncle Vic was like a really warm, he's passed on now, energetic human being and played golf, soccer, you know. But there was this invisible wall, you know, you could tell. And I think it existed between my Uncle Vic and my dad, although they didn't acknowledge it. And it's like you're just living in the unconscious of it. We really had nothing in common. I don't even know why they asked me to stay there. I don't, you know. I was going to UVic. I had no idea. I guess I applied there, and my dad said, "Oh, Uncle Vic has made a bathroom, and you can come and stay there." I didn't. Why did they want me to stay there? I mean, did you like me, or did you didn't have to build that? I had no idea where I stood. Yeah, I had absolutely no idea where I stood with them ever. Never had any idea where I stood with them. Isn't that interesting? Go sit down over here for a minute. Oh my god. Oh shit. Another thing is I'm just tired. catch some sun. Try to catch some sun. Mm. Oh yeah, that's nice. Got some shepherd's pie. That's good. I think you want to do something with it? It's open. Really didn't think I was going to do it. No. To think that you really thought I was going to set up. Home. Maybe she hit the bus simulator. Huh? And you can have a lot of people on the telephone poles with black agate. They do the same thing with dogs. You know? Or the dog sees a skateboard and hits it. I mean, there's bad people dog. Yeah, I think it was that sun is good. That's real good. Get in before it get too chilly. Hey, buddy. Yeah, so. Yeah, it's funny. My cousins probably don't think much of it. And they probably don't think much about those days or Maybe they don't think much of me, I don't know. Maybe they think I owed them something. I wasn't paying rent, but then again, they didn't ask me to. Sorry. Oh. So that's it. That's my evening. So, I'm well fed. I'm tired. That's good. Yeah. All we have to do now is have a good sleep. We got the chill, baby. In fact, I'll probably put on another dry t-shirt here. Oh. Oh my goodness. That's a day. Fuck. I just had to put on another dry t-shirt from the dryer. And then, yeah, I gained something to talk about. I mean, they probably think I'm a complete loser. We'll see what happens. I remember about 5 years ago, or maybe 10 years ago, I was living somewhere and I thought I saw a van that looked like my Uncle Vic's van. And the first thing I felt was fear. I hope they don't see me, because the worst thing than, strangers that you're scared of is people who aren't strangers that you're scared of, that are your family. That if my dad wasn't around, like the ringmaster, to, hey, Uncle Vic, hey, Penny, and talk and drink and this, it was all fun and everything, but drinking and whatnot. But they never got to know us. They never got to know the children at all. They didn't know anything about us. It wasn't really a family gathering. It wasn't real, but it was not real in a way that was okay for them. That's a pretty heavy charge to say to your family, you're not being realistic. I have normal feelings of a human being. You could ask me how I feel. I'm not going to come in your home and tell you how to live, but if you don't tell me what to do, and then I figure it out by myself, and if you don't like it, well, that's what you get when you don't tell a young man out of his house for the first time and scared what you want from him in your home. Do you want me to do chores? Do you want me to, why don't you sit down and talk to me? Hey, we'd like you to have dinner with us a couple times a week. Sure. Great. Now, I know there's something I can do that will make you happy. And so I never got up. I'd get up, I'd have some cereal, I'd probably have some Pop-Tarts. Pack my bag, I'd get on my bike, and I'd ride to the university all day, and I'd stay out until 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. Come home, go to bed, get up, do it again. And I did that for 3.5 months. And it was the nicest, worst, saddest part of my life. I didn't quite know what depression was, but this was a 19-year-old man, 20-year-old man, doing pretty much as he could do. Anyone who was paying attention would be like, okay, that's all Landon can do under these circumstances. He doesn't have what he needs to do anything else. Literally. I mean, there's nothing more honest than someone leaving their house for the first time and like, I don't want to live by myself. I don't want to get a job. I can't talk to girls. I don't want to talk to girls. The one girl that sat down, at the cafeteria at the school or whatever, like, she didn't even ask me if I wanted her to sit down. She just sat down. I'm like, I didn't want to talk to her. She was probably just as scared shitless as I was. It didn't matter. I wasn't going to stay there. I wasn't going anywhere. This wasn't the college experience I was looking for. And the classes were impossible. They were fucking impossible. I was getting assignments I couldn't do. I couldn't fucking do them. And I didn't care anymore. I'm just like, I'm watching this guy go over relativity or special relativity, whatever the one has to do with time travel. And you know what? The professor doesn't even look like he gives a fuck what he's talking about. He doesn't give a fuck. He's done this fucking shit so many times. These guys look and talk like they've literally spent their lives in a fucking office. And not that academic, astronomy and physics doesn't look like the guy. I went back maybe 10 years later, and the guy running the astronomy lab was still there. The guy I took astronomy with, and he gave me a lab, the first lab I did, that I couldn't do. I was like, I failed it. I was like, what the fuck are you at? He was like, conduct an experiment and write it out where you measure, how fast the moon is going around the earth or how far away it is or something. And I'm like, what the fuck? I mean, I had never done anything like that in my entire life. I was like, okay. I went out to the back garden, for fun. It was like the way a 5-year-old would do it. And I used my thumb or some kind of compass or like pendulum plumb bob thing. And I'm like, okay, the moon is right here at such and such a time. And then I'll measure like where it is at this time or something. And it's like, I don't know. Fuck. I mean, I imagine some people probably just looked it up on the computer or something and then worked back. I don't know. Maybe that's what you're supposed to do. I get a feeling that you were supposed to cheat. Or you were supposed to do something to figure out anything you can to do it. It's like putting a rat on a labyrinth. And I guess I started to show a preponderance of a certain quality that started to assert itself in my life, which was that I didn't give a fuck to do this. I wasn't going to be trained like a rat. I learned in my second year of university that it was kind of like hazing. You had to work with other people or you would fail. They had to make you hungry and desperate to know that you can't get through this course or this course unless you work with someone and find out things from them that the instructor didn't tell you, or that they learned because they went to that school the first year. And I really wanted to be like them. I wanted to do the labs. When I'd been in college, I'd been Dean's List. I'd been the #1 physics student in the school for that year. And I didn't know what to do. None of this was familiar to me. The math was unfamiliar. I was completely out of my depth in every possible way. And I had no one to talk to. I remember one night my dad called. I guess Uncle Vic or my dad called. They talked to Uncle Vic. Hey, I'll put you on. It's like my dad was like, hey, Landon, what are you doing? How's school going? Like, you should do this. And I don't remember what my dad said, but I could kind of feel already that my dad really didn't give a fuck. In that phone call, I knew everything I needed to know. That my dad could probably pass a lie detector test and say that he loved me, and my dad didn't give a fuck about me. He doesn't. He didn't. He didn't. By the time, at some point, who knows, my dad I was just another one of his children. that he had to feed or whatnot. I didn't do anything for him. I couldn't make him laugh. He'd say things like, "Why don't you make jokes at the table anymore?" Well, because the last time I did, he punched me in the face. And it was like a year after that, I started getting miserable acne all over my face. I mean, he had brutalized me. He had assaulted me and battered me at the table. That kind of changes your relationship with your father. And you tend to not hit creatures that you care about and respect. If you had a dog that was there with you and you really had a bond with that dog, would you ever punch that dog in the head? I accidentally hit Buddy in the head once or twice now and then, and I'm always like, "Sorry, man, really sorry." Like, dude, I didn't mean that. And dogs have hard skulls, but I'm like, just so he knows, like, let's end this with affection. But my dad never said sorry. Never took me outside and said, "A man doesn't hit another man like that. I was wrong to do that." That was shocking, and apologized to the rest of the family for losing his temper. That's when, even though my mom was basically torturing my dad in her own way for many, many years, it took me 25 years to really discover that. It took me 15 years living around my mom because my dad's behavior to me made me very prone to believe whatever my mother said about him, was that he was an awful person. And you start thinking, well, your dad was stressed. Of course, he's got a job, he's got a wife that not only doesn't love him, actively subverts whatever security he's trying to build in the world. So he doesn't, and he's got a son that's not working, I think I was 15 at that time, so I was actually getting straight A's. And it was about 14 or 15, because I know it was like before I got my license. And that was terrifying. The guy that I had that did my license made me cry. It was like, "Why'd you do that?" And it was just like, I was so nervous driving with him, I couldn't possibly. He was looking for me to make a mistake. It was like I'd never taken lessons in my life. Like, the guy was an awful teacher. He was awful. I don't know if he just decided to become a driving instructor or what, but he had to pump on the pedal a couple times to make sure I stopped. It's like, and he got pissed off. And to this day, and you meet people who just get pissed off. And they just get pissed off. And it's like, it's their job not to get pissed off. It's like if you do tech and you've got someone calling you, like I've had a thing for the TV once, and the cable system was just unplugged. He's like, "If you check the power," and I said, "Oh, sorry." He's like, "That's okay, it happens." He didn't say, "Oh, you stupid fuck." It's like, shit happens. You're like looking and everything, like, what? Somebody, you might have turned off a switch or something. It's like, "Oh, the power's on." And I was like, "So sorry, dude. Like, that's just, I feel so stupid." And it's just like, he's like, "That's all right, just glad we got it going." And they have a checklist, because they meet a lot of stupid people and they say, "Okay, is the power button on?" And they've learned, they don't say, "Hey, you fucking stupid." They know that people get flustered and they call and they just want help. And they haven't learned to, check the power. At this point, everybody knows that if something's fucked up with your modem, you undo the power cord for 10 seconds and plug it back in and let it reboot and see what happens, right? That's pretty much, everyone knows that by now. But I'm jumping around, but, and so as I got older, I had really negative experiences with older men, or, any men and people in authority. And yet I'd never had trouble with authority. Elementary school, high school, never, 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 never. All my teachers, straight A's, I'd never had trouble. But as soon as I ventured out of school, as soon as, I ventured, conversations with my father, you didn't get anything that would budge. Like, I had relatives who were Christian. I said, "What would happen?" I was maybe 13. I said, "What would happen one night sitting in the living room, talking? What would happen if someone never came across the Bible? Would they go to hell?" And they said yes, almost in unison, like a couple birdies. And it was like, okay, so that relationship is over. You're condemning someone to death because they haven't seen your favorite book. Can you imagine how stupid that is? You're condemning another human, maybe an Aborigines, to death. You're saying they deserve to be tortured for eternity, to say nothing of what happens to them before the mercy of death itself. because they've never seen your fucking favorite book written by your favorite author whose name starts with G. Are you fucking kidding me? And yet they've raised perfectly decent children and all this stuff, but to my mind it's like, you're useless. You're a fucking moron. I will never trust you ever. That is such an immoral thing. It's so fucking stupid. Imagine having a relative who's like a gynecologist or something, or a dentist, and one night he says, like, anyone who hasn't seen every episode of Star Trek The Next Generation or the original series is going to burn in merciless eternal hell with their flesh constantly growing back and falling off their body. Right? Because if they haven't read it, they won't get the special grace of Captain Kirk and Jean-Luc Picard, and they won't be able to boldly go where no man has boldly gone before. It's a story. It's a story. I'm going to go up to Chris and be like, it's a story. It's a story. And if you like the story, that's cool. And if you find some ultimate eternal meaning in that story, that's cool. And if you feel like it makes you feel better as a human being, and you feel some true inner physiological change in your relationship to some ultimate grace, good for you. Awesome. But there's a problem. People can feel that way on Quaaludes too. People can feel that way in an auditorium full of 10,000 people waiting for Tony Robbins to heal some guy's impotence. Look, he's got his first erection in 15 years. Yay! People feel the same way for a lot of things that captivate them. And captivate them in a way that they can connect to some incredible Father in a world where, because of the agenda of the Bible, people want to connect to a fucking Father because they fucking missing the fucking Father. Because where the fuck is the Father? Or your father or my father? But no, I didn't go for the Bible. I became a fundamentalist Christian for 2 weeks and ignored the fuck out of my family. I annoyed the fuck out of my family. And I wasn't the worst. I became very clear about the spirit of the text. I really did, in a way that only a 12-year-old probably could. And I would read it every day and become the best Christian I could for probably a week or two. And I got sick of myself. It was like the first cult I joined. Christianity is a very simple cult, but it's very effective. It's like microwave popcorn. And then as I got older, I matured. And in a scary sense, like someone who rides experimental roller coasters for a living for $5 an hour, with how anything and everything can be a cult. And how would you organize knowledge in a way that preserved useful discriminating powers and the distinctions they could make between what was strictly speaking a religious area and what was not a religious area? What became effectively known, knowable, and preeminent because not just because it happened to, but precisely because it did have a very emotional, provocative, and ultimately very captivating claim upon your mind, and lots of wonderful little intricate and maybe very troubled things about what you really needed ultimately in terms of your relationship with some grand scheme of being. Okay, let's upload this crap.